Tell me about this program. When did it get started? Well, what was the idea behind its inception, and how long ago was that?
Well, so Teen Challenge Adventure Ranch, our center was started 1973. So we're going on 52 years of being in existence as a nonprofit corporation. We are part of the umbrella of Adult and Teen Challenge USA, which the headquarters is out of Springfield, Missouri. That was birthed out of the Assemblies of God Church, and so that's one of our accreditations, and where part of our name comes from as far as Teen Challenge. So the legacy there, I mean, there's just a huge legacy of a preacher named David Wilkerson who went to the streets of New York City and felt called to reach out to the gang members and the heroin addicts on the street. So that's the hardcore history. It's a phenomenal legacy. We're a part of a network across the country and the world of there's hundreds of centers in the U.S. that are for adults mostly. We are one of approximately 10 that are for adolescent boys. So we're pretty unique. I can explain more about that later, why that is. And then around the world, there's up to 2,000 different centers in different countries where they have planted ministry outreaches for the addicts and the ill and people that need help. So yeah, that's a little bit of a summary of our history, I guess.
So the adolescent youth that come in there to your program, what condition are they in? How do you find them, or how do they find you?
So our network is wide. Of course, we would love to reach even more in the state of Arkansas, which we do. We have I'd say really it's a small percentage of clients from Arkansas. We advertise, throughout the entire nation. In fact, we turn our census in each Monday to the state, and I think we have at least 13 states represented here right now. We've had young men from every state in the country, including Hawaii and Alaska. They come here with what we call dual diagnosis. Most of our clients today are struggling with mental illness and addiction, and one is feeding the other, and each one is different. Obviously, a heavy addiction can lead to mental struggles and anxieties and depression, and or vice versa. In today's world, we're seeing a huge uptick in mental health crisis. So anxiety, depression, trauma are fueling this generation. They are desperate. They've been scarred from COVID and the isolation that brought. So we continue to see the effects of that. And of course, many of them have turned to substances to find answers instead of healthy outlets.
What do you all provide there to turn their lives around?
Oh gosh, we provide what I say a huge cast of treatment. We stabilize these young men through all kinds of different avenues. Of course, we are relational. We love on the boys. We build relationships with them and their families. We specialize. We have some very unique outlets here. We have an amazing equestrian therapy program. We just built a state-of-the-art equestrian center. We have a phenomenal equine manager as well as therapists who participate with that. We also, for years, I've had the privilege of pioneering and leading an outdoor adventure component, and what I would refer to as experiential learning. So we get this young men outdoors when they first get here for 3 days. They go down the Buffalo River or hiking, and just get to be alone with a couple of our staff and a couple of our top leadership students just to kind of decompress, debrief, sometimes even, mildly detox from what's going on in their lives. Once a month, everybody goes on a short camping trip, just gets out again in nature, and in a very therapeutic way, not a military or wilderness march or anything like that, but a very therapeutic experience in the outdoors. So we believe in God's creation is meant for these young men. So those are two of our very different ways. But of course, we have a rigorous routine here on campus. We have a great classroom staff, educational team, therapists, nursing staff, med management. It's a full array of services, and all of that is centered in our Christ-centered, faith-based ministry. So we don't shy away from that. We definitely believe God changes lives, but we put that stability all around them so they can receive that truth and hopefully make a choice to respond to that.
Funding for this, it sounds like this doesn't come cheaply.
Yes, as I mentioned earlier, it caught your attention. Most adult and teen challenge centers are for adults because they are much cheaper to run. They are facilitate the men and women can work and they can kind of have their own tent making ability there where they can provide their own resources. We cannot do that. Plus the staffing and the protection and the risk management that goes into adolescence is multiplied by 10 at least over what you would have to do in an adult center. So yes, it takes a team we have over 60 staff that help run this program for 40 clients. We have 40 beds here. So yes, it's a very intensive and expensive endeavor what we attempt to do.
Does that come through donation or how do you get that?
Yeah, well, of course. I mean, there's a part of that through fundraising. We're striving for grants. So that has not been something we've been hugely successful at in the past, being a private, faith-based organization. However, so we have that donor base, of course, of 50 years that helps. We do fundraising events. We did a vision dinner this year. But there's definitely a huge responsibility that's up to the families and parents to provide through private pay costs, as well as we do accept insurance. So we are fully CARF accredited, which means we have a medical licensure. And we, of course, are fully licensed with DHS in the state of Arkansas. Those are, again, things that separate us. Having that full medical accreditation is very rare, especially in the teen challenge realm. But even for most adolescent residential centers, they don't have that level of care and excellence that we're able to provide.
How many of these young men will come in and this is their first real sense of structure?
Oh, for sure. Especially, just the activity alone. We wake them up first thing every morning. They go to a CrossFit workout program. So that alone is a shock to their system, and in such a good way. There's just we give them good, healthy structure, recreation, physical fitness. Of course, with the animals and the horses. Um, they wake up at 7, and honestly, their schedule doesn't end till 9:30 at night. It's incredibly structured, and yes, there's no doubt it shocks their system. Many of them come in maybe with sleep problems, but there's a natural element to what we do that it helps you get a good night's rest.
Is there a limit as to how long a stay can last or when
Yeah,
I'm assuming there's a
sure.
rotation of boys that come in.
Our treatment program lasts from 3 to 6 months. There's an options in there for the families to tailor to their needs. And then we offer an extended academy option. And so that is designed for an extra roughly 3 months for those that really would like their son to stay and work on, really dive into that academic piece for an extra 3 months and sometimes longer. So that's person centered depending on what the family would like.
The reason I ask is I imagine there's over the years a lot of success stories.
Oh, absolutely. I was just reflecting on that. So, this summer alone, I have four interns or new staff here that were students of mine in the past. That's not counting the three staff members I have that are currently married with children, and they were students here years ago. So I didn't mention I've had the privilege of being here. I'm on my 29th year here. So I just went on an alumni trip with students who are now 30 years old. So it's that's incredibly rewarding and just a huge trophy on our shelf for what has been accomplished, what the Lord has done here.
Yeah. Well, Justin, it sounds like a terrific program. I appreciate your time.
Well, thank you. Appreciate your time.